Hey everyone, Business Development Manager Zach Dewhurst here, and with us today is Cruz, who is the Client Services Manager on the DecoNetwork team. How's it going, Chris?
Hey Zach, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Good. 8.607, it's been in the work for the past several months. It's a big update. There's a lot of great new features and aesthetics, and the feedback has been really positive from the users. So excited to just dive in and give an overview of all of these new updates and how our licensees can take advantage of them. So let's start by going into the app, and we'll start with our decoration processes. First thing right off the bat, there's a new process, UV printing. And you're going to see here in just a little bit, we've added Alpha Broder's hard good products. So DecoNetwork is kind of starting to move a little bit into the promo and hard good world because really you could always offer UV printing for the most part. And now it's an actual decoration process. You don't have to rename something or piggyback off of another. Very easy. And then just like any decoration process, your smart select rules are what kind of predetermines what products by default take that decoration process. So UV has been configured to essentially be available on those hard goods when you enable a catalog like Alpha Broder's Prime Line hard goods. They're set up to accept that right off the bat. Or actually, we're going to show you how to turn it on if you're an existing licensee. So UV printing has been added. Next, my favorite update is if you come into decoration pricing and an embroidery, you can turn on that you can determine the price for the quantity break for all of the lines that use the same design file. So with screen printing, it's always worked this way. But for embroidery, if you had the same artwork and you had different colors of shirts, or you needed some polos and some quarter zips, or just the same product but different product codes, they're all individual lines. And the pricing would not go across all of those lines. And now if you click this box, it will. Right, Chris?
That's right. Yeah, there are some things to keep in mind there in terms of when that applies. The key is those line items have to, like Zach mentioned, use the same uploaded EMB file, the same uploaded design.
Does it have to be an EMB file or just artwork?
Uh, it could be other artwork, if it's not yet digitized, like a PNG or something like that.
Perfect. All right, scared me there for a second, Chris. Okay, and that's why we're doing it together, because Chris and I combined for almost 30 years of using the software. We keep each other in check. Actually, no, more like
Sure.
Chris keeps me in check. Sorry. New option to trim empty area around raster image upload. So I've been hearing a lot of great feedback from this. So really doesn't matter what process. If you come in into the designer settings um, and you scroll down here, oh, where are we, Chris?
Down at
It's
the bottom under advanced image settings, you'll find the option there.
Yep. So trim empty area. So what this really means is it's kind of common, unfortunately, your customer uploads a PNG file and it's their logo, but then it has all this extra dead space around it. And then when they try to place it and make it across the full chest, they start getting that warning that it's beyond the bounding box and it's warning the customer that, hey, this is not going to print well and we're going to be cropping it off. What this allows us to do now is when the customer uploads that artwork, it's actually trimming around the actual design. And now the customer is able to resize it and not get that warning as frequently. Right, Chris?
Yep, that's right.
All right, we're just going to double check sometimes. Okay, split user design upload permissions. I thought this is pretty cool. So when the customer is able to upload the design, we can control, can they do that on the front end, the back end of the site, or in Business Hub? And now this has been split into allowing users to use their existing saved designs and allow users uploaded designs. So it's been split into two sections so we have more control over it. All right. that's just about it for the decoration processes. Those are pretty big ones. New process, being able to trim, combining pricing for embroidery, all great. Let's talk about products. So over here in products, I'll hop over actually to this account. Got a couple open. So within products, we can now turn on, first of all, Alpha Broder Canada has been added. Very great for all those Canada users. But also for us in the States, if you come into Alpha Broder, one of the new brands or essentially catalog updates is Primeline. So Primeline is Alpha Broder's hard goods. And you can see if you turn on the UV decoration process, the Smart Select rules will turn it on. And I'm going to show you in a second how to go into the decoration areas to make them available. Another big update here, though, is if you see this little icon, it's letting us know, hey, come back here. You can see if I click save, we're going to add 36 products and take one away. It's very important to remember you should be coming back to the select catalog section. I always suggest once a month. It's not going to hurt to come back here more often, but the catalogs are updating. We're adding and subtracting available colors based on what the supplier's telling us. They're updating pricing, adding products. Those updates don't automatically get applied. Live inventory, if the supplier provides it and you have that turned on and your account details are in there, that's updated every day. But any changes to the products, you got to kind of have to come back here, click save, and now it's a little bit more obvious of, hey, you need to do this. Decoration areas. So going back to those UV blank products that are going to be typically your hard goods. So if you come back here into the decoration areas, you want to go down to the non-apparel, click edit, and down here to the bottom, we have hard goods, front, back, left, and right side. You really want to turn these on. And this is the way it is. You just kind of have to do it. And I would recommend, unless you're going to use a different decoration method, I'm going to turn all of these off for, I'm not embroidering them and so forth. I just want UV. So UV is your last column. If you've set the Smart Select rules or just left them as is, you come back here, turn them on, you turn on the Primeline, or you just update Alpha Broder's catalog, you now will have those hard goods. And just like normal, they should be set to only available in Business Hub by default. Chris, I get all that correct?
Yep, that's all right.
All right, another cool update as far as catalogs, Ralliwise now has live inventory, which is really cool. And actually purchase ordering, just reading my notes. So those are some of the updates when it comes to the products. Let's talk about the general settings. First, let's go into DecoPay. For those who are not using DecoPay, I highly recommend it. It is going to open up the door to a lot of cool new capabilities. First off, in addition to taking debit and credit card, I can take ACH, bank transfer, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and some buy now, pay laters. Another thing I really like is when a customer checks out on one of your affiliate sites, it's actually using that website name. And that is actually a big deal because when your customer sees the fulfillment center name, they're like, who's this? And then they're more likely to dispute that charge. It's just great to be able to see the website URL on the credit card statement because that customer is less likely to wonder, well, who is this coming from? Why? And then they're going to dispute it if they don't recognize it often. But a big new update with DecoPay. You can come into any of these payment methods, come into pricing, and now you can pass on the fee to the customer. And you have control over that fee. So right now, what the fees are for each of these payment methods, back up, it's going to come down to what plan you're on and where you're located. If you're in the UK or if you're in the US, it's a different percentage amount. If you're on the standard plan, you're on the enterprise plan, it's going to be a different percentage amount. But then when it comes to passing on the fee, you can again do this and you can control it at either a percentage or a fixed amount. So right now I'm at 2.9% plus 30 cents. Maybe I'll make it 3.5%. 3.5%. Or I could do a flat rate. Hey, it's going to be $5. So you can control this, and you can even control if it's actually shown to the customer when they're checking out. So you could hide the surcharge breakdown, and now they're not seeing that credit card fee. That's up to you. But what you also can do with this is kind of push your customer to using the less expensive method. So, credit card fees, they can get expensive. ACH, bank transfer, they are a lot cheaper of a transaction. I still may pass on the fee to the customer, or maybe I only charge it on credit card and then say, hey, ACH is free. You're just going to entice them more. So this is not available for any of the other payment gateways. It's just one of those many benefits of using DecoPay itself. And then if I come into the actual manual payment methods, you can also do it here. So if you wanted to, charge for taking cash or a check, you technically can now. All right. UPS integration. So two things, actually several things here. So if I come into shipping methods, shipping is two steps. Step one, quote the customer price at checkout. And that could also be, you also putting together a quote or an order in Business Hub. We know how much the products weigh. We know it's leaving this location. It's going to the customer's location. And then we have different carrier options. Are we doing UPS ground? Are we doing overnight, and so forth? So if you come over to manage live shipping carriers, you can connect back with UPS. Just so everybody knows, UPS kind of took away their capability of nothing to do with DecoNetwork. It's just they changed the way they did API, and you can add their UPS. What I just want to throw out there as well is ShipStation, because it's a two-step process. You got to quote the customer price, and you got to buy and print the label. Personally, I can't recommend ShipStation enough. It will make your life significantly easier. And a really cool kind of thing I can say now is it was only available in the US for both steps. Now it's going to be available to pretty much everybody: Canada, UK, Australia. Chris?
Yep, that's right. Essentially anywhere that ShipStation operates, which is, I think, New Zealand, Canada, UK, Australia. I might be forgetting one, but yeah, anywhere ShipStation operates, we're going to have that integration.
Once you've put in your ShipStation credentials, you can then choose all of the methods that you have enabled on your ShipStation account. It's just really great. So you don't have to use ShipStation. You can continue to use UPS, FedEx, and put in those credentials to calculate the rates. But highly, highly recommend you use ShipStation. It'll make life easier for both steps, and the rates are really accurate. The other thing is, if you come into here into ShipStation Sync, you can now make it exclude certain shipping methods from being sent to ShipStation. So for example, if I have a pickup option, or I don't want that to then move its way into ShipStation. It's not really in your way, but it's just cluttering things up. So now you can prevent a shipping method from showing up in ShipStation very easily. Okay, ability to select, edit new, okay, new option to control when production files are synced. Okay, this is really cool. I made a cool video on how CADlink can use their automatic job sorter function, in which it can pull designs out of Dropbox. So let's just back up. For years, you could integrate with Dropbox, in which all your artwork goes out of Business Hub into Dropbox. The problem with it is we didn't really control when it went there. So I like to do it when the artwork is ready for production. I don't like the idea of artwork going into there until it's actually ready. And we can also control what files are synced. Along with that, the names of the artwork files are just can be controlled within the decoration process settings. And that allows us to, again, use kind of a third party like what CADlink is doing with their automatic job sorter, in which I could have DTG, DTF, screen print, all my artwork go into Dropbox. But then it's because of the file name, we can pull out of Dropbox the files that are relevant and send them to, in this example, RIP software with CADlink to make the DTF printing process just more streamlined. So pretty cool updates to the Dropbox integration feature. Okay, ability to set purchase order behavior. All right, so when we raise a purchase order in Business Hub, it's got to be a live one, correct, Chris?
Not necessarily. It could be, any purchase order. Both, it could be to a supplier that we don't necessarily have an integration for example.
Okay, so what sometimes happen, I don't think it's that often, but maybe your customer comes back to you before you've raised that purchase order, but you've started the purchase order process, and they're like, wait, I need to take off some items. This person isn't going to be there. And if you updated the order, it didn't necessarily update the purchase order quantity. And now it does. And when you go back to the purchase order, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to update the quantity, or do you want to keep the same quantity, and then anything that's extra we can allocate to stock? So if I come into purchase order settings, I can control what the overage behavior is for this situation. I say all that correct, Chris?
Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so it's really about more control. So, previous to this setting being introduced, the system always allocated overage to inventory, and that could lead into issues where um, the DecoNetwork member wasn't expecting that to be set as inventory, right? They kind of just maybe ordered it as, let's say, surplus for potential waste or things like that, right? So they weren't expecting it to be allocated um, to inventory. So now you can control, do you actually need that extra quantity, or can you just get rid of it?
Okay. Production statuses. Back here in production status, when I add a production status, we can control when a production status is shown in Business Hub based on the decoration process. What's been added is the ability of how we're going to treat blanks. If we just have an order with no artwork on it, so no decoration, we can have it a different default production status be the starting point. Before that, Chris, what do we have to do? We just left it on all processes, and that was how we had to treat a blank.
That's right. Yeah, any status set to all processes would have been available for blanks. And one thing to consider is blanks doesn't always mean blanks. There are some situations with custom products where someone creates a custom product that to the system appears blank, but may actually be something that's, let's say, pre-designed or pre-decorated, right?
Cool. All right, and that's it for these settings. Let's come down to accounts. So we'll add a new staff account. Within the admin plus the production manager, sales manager, I think those are the three, maybe another one. There is a new waste recorded. So if you've got employees in your shop and they keep recording waste and initiate that new PO, you can monitor them more because you're going to be getting that warning. Hey, they screwed up again. They're reordering this shirt again. So you're able to kind of be notified and kept in the loop a little bit more. Another notification is failed order payment. And so this might be a situation where a credit card doesn't go through and you can get that notification, or maybe you took ACH or bank transfer, it takes a couple days. It'll just be in that pending, and then it's either going to clear and you got the payment, or it's going to fail and you're going to get that notification, hey, we couldn't actually do it. You're going to want to reach back out to the customer, see what might be going on, or take a different form of payment. Last one, designs. So if you come over here to stock designs, for those who don't know, you can always come over here. You can add one design at a time. You can upload a batch of designs using a zip folder, very easy to do, or you can create your own design template. So there's been a lot of improvements to the design template builder if you want to build your own. But what I'm really excited about is if you come over to design collections, DecoNetwork now has a team of graphic artists in which all they're doing are building design templates. And so we've had the sports templates for a couple of years now. We're really growing them. We want all those sports. We want events. We want businesses. We want to make it easier for when your customer doesn't have artwork, which a lot of the times is whenever your customer isn't asking their brand logo to be decorated. So you're going to just see continuously updates of new categories, and you may have to come back here, turn it on. And what's really cool is, we've made a lot of changes to the method to the madness. So most of the designs, one or two colors. Sometimes you'll see a three color in there. It's going to be very friendly from a screen printing standpoint. You're also easily able to knock out colors. So maybe it is a two or a three color design, but if you want to remove a color, now the shirt can kind of come through a lot easier. It took a lot of back and forth planning and so forth, but real excited, Chris, about the progress and just our team now pumping out these design templates. It's just going to make it easier whenever a customer doesn't have artwork, set up that they want to have decorated.
Yeah, it's great to see those collections growing, consistently, and yeah, looking forward to continue to see what the team comes up with.
All right, let's hop over to Business Hub, which arguably has the most amount of updates, Chris. I mean,
That's right.
there's some aesthetic changes that are real obvious. Load speed. I mean, I never personally thought Business Hub was slow, but wow, does it move now? It's very fast. Lots of just general UI improvements that are really great. One of the cool things is like you have sticky columns and rows. So if I scroll down and over, you can see I still see the order no matter how far right I go, no matter how down I go, I still can see everything at the top. I mean, there's just several changes that are very user friendly. Down here in processing, calendar and overview are in their own section. It used to be called production and all be together. If you go to the calendar, it's very easy to toggle between the day, the week view, and I could choose the date, and then I'll say, okay, show me the orders for the 11th. Obviously, I don't have any, but it's just many different improvements. Been hearing a lot of great things. Everybody's loving them. If you ever, put in parameters for like the job name, the customer, and so forth, you can give it a simple Control Alt, or for those Mac users like myself, Control Option, and it'll clear out all of your search parameters and just not make you have to go into each field and get rid of that. What else about Business Hub? Lots of great things. So sales and service, embroidery design. So if I put together a new quote or an order and I were to add a design, the embroidery and the print designs are very clearly separated. So if I came in, of course, I got to choose a product that is available for both. Let's see if I have one. All right, well, we're going to have to use our imagination, Chris. So what you'll see in my uploads is it's broken into the print and the embroidery. We've used these for embroidery, these for print. Is that correct, Chris?
That's right. Yeah, it's just about making it clear to the user what type of design is available there. It used to be a little bit confusing. Some embroidery designs were under my uploads, some went into my embroidery. So we just made that super clear. Everything related to embroidery now goes into my embroidery. And yeah, so like you mentioned, a lot of improvements here in Business Hub. I would say, just to kind of summarize, the intent there. The primary focuses were, I would say, consistency and clarity. Trying to eliminate as much friction as possible from the day-to-day use. So we went through every screen in Business Hub and tried to identify places where improvements were possible, and we did our best to kind of clean things up. So yeah, we've been getting a lot of good feedback on the changes. So it's great to see those changes have positive impact on the day-to-day use.
When I signed up for DecoNetwork, there was no Business Hub. It was kind of funny. But but now it is the core of the software. It's the bread and butter. I don't care where you get your order from, whether it's your website, an affiliate site, or you're getting that walk-in call. Everybody lives in Business Hub, and all that's why these improvements are so well liked, is because it's where we live in the software. Um, One of the really cool updates for screen printers and embroiderers, really any decoration process. For each line, you can now click on the gear. You could come in to create line item note, and you can put in notes here. And these notes will also show up on a reorder. Now, why would I want to do this? Well, let's say we're doing embroidery. I could say what needle type and what needle size we need to use for this job, just based on the artwork. Or let's say it's screen printing, and we have all these colors. Well, maybe I'll define what the print color order is, and then I'll actually put in, okay, we're going to use a 110 mesh for the red ink. For the black, we're going to use a 160 mesh. So you could put in these additional internal notes. They're going to show up on a reorder. They're going to show up on the production worksheet. Cris, where all can somebody add these internal notes? Is it just within this order section, or is there anywhere else that you can access an order and add them?
Yeah, those can also be both viewed and added from the production detail screen. So if you were to click into production, open up an item here in the production screen, on the right-hand side under internal notes is where those same item notes are reflected. So anything added here essentially correlates with what you just showed on the order screen.
Okay,
And that's the information that's going to carry over, like you said, across reorders of the same item.
awesome. And that just allows us to repeat that job real easily. Um, but in artwork, internal notes are still separate, correct?
That's right.
Okay, just want to make sure that's clear to everybody. So the production manager easily can, the whoever wants to gain access to the order, or again, if the art department does have needs to add that, they can always click on the order here and then add the notes within the order. But really cool, again, for repeat orders and so forth, you could store all those detailed notes. Okay, batch store. So again, some things have been moved around. Batch stores used to hang up here. Now it's hanging out down here in the processing section with calendar and overview. If you click on a batch store, for those who don't know, you can, for a store that's in batch mode, you can raise one purchase order for all those open orders. You can download one batch production sheet. So you're essentially consolidating all those orders, and then the press operator knows what the heck they have ahead of them. And then you can download the individual sheets. What wasn't always obvious was, hey, we don't want to raise a purchase order. We need to go pull these products off the shelf. So now there's this batch inventory pull sheet to make it real obvious what products need to be pulled for this batch store. All right, another cool update. And we heard this quite a bit, Cris, at least I have with all my conversations. I want to download a packing slip without having to mark an order as shipped. So before the update, you would often have to mark an order as shipped before you would actually be able to download the packing slip. Now, what I want to be clear is you're not able to download something different. So let's actually just go to shipped. Let's show a shipped order. If I were to go into Marshall's order here, I could download the order. Oops, went back to shipping. All right, so if I came here, I could download the order slip, I could download the packing slip and the shipping label. So pre-update, just packing slip, shipping label. Now, when I'm still in the shipping, before I've marked an order as shipped, I can download the order slip. And Cris, can you explain the difference between the order slip and the packing slip?
Yeah, so one of the reasons packing slips haven't been available prior to recording a shipment against an order is recording the shipment defines what is included in that package, right? Let's say you have an order for 500 shirts that's going to go into 4 separate packages, right? So each package, each shipment defines what that packing slip is going to include. So it's hard to have access to that without defining first what's actually included in it. So The approach we took with the order slip is it's a way to get a summary of what's in the order. And so it is going to include all items in that order. Again, not anything specific to a shipment because you haven't yet defined those shipments. So it's essentially the order summary. It's very similar to the packing slip, but it's going to include all items on that same order.
Cool. Makes sense. Again, I've heard it over the years. So that's nice to be able to do.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think for most cases, I think it serves the need because there are, I don't know what the percentage is, but I think the most likely cases, most orders have just one shipment, right? It's more of a
yep.
rare case where you have orders that it includes several shipments.
Yep. At least you hope. Okay. So next one, let's come into production, and we have production statuses here. Cool thing we can now do is we can update the production status to just be none. So by default, it's going to, if you have production statuses, they're going to go in a certain order. So like I have screen printing ones here, new job, the production manager needs to put in notes. Then we're going to develop the screens and so forth. But if we ever want to essentially just make it a blank production status, now we can select update, and then you can also filter by a particular production status or the fact that there is no production status set for it. All right, so we went over the general, the sales, service, production. Let's talk about the accounts. So if I go into a customer's profile and I click in here, and if I want to add an internal note, I can. So this is important. I can flag it as important. And by flagging it as important, we're going to be able to, whenever we go into this customer company profile, it's going to be like, hey, just so you realize, this guy's difficult. Charge him more. So you can control, how what notes are, popping in your face when you go into a customer's profile by default. So come into customers, I'll click back on myself, and boom, here is our important note. You can also do that at the company level, right, Chris?
I think just at the customer level right now.
Okay.
You can add notes at the company level, but I don't think there's currently an option to flag them as important.
Now you cannot. Glad I asked after I said it was possible. Um, Okay, so those are your important notes. DecoPay. So again, you got to be using DecoPay to be able to take advantage of this one. But if you go in to a customer's profile, you can actually choose what default payment methods are available. So I'll use like ACH as an example. ACH or maybe checks. You don't want anybody to be able to have that as an option. Well, now you can control which payment methods are available. So like ACH, it may take a couple days. I like to treat it as a check. So I don't want to make it available to everybody. I only want to make it available to certain clients. I absolutely can control now what payment methods are available. You can already do this within an individual order, but now you can do it at a customer or a company profile, and then it obviously gets passed down. So if I do it at a company, it gets passed down to the customer contact, and then it'll get passed down to the individual order. Okay, let's see, ability to manually pay. Oh, you could put somebody on a spending hold. So if I go into the account details, I could put somebody on a spending hold. Now, what does that mean exactly? Is that if they're an account holder, Chris, or, if they just owe us money, we're just not going to let them place another order? How does that work?
That's right. So it's not something that happens automatically. So it's up to the operator to determine when to set that hold. And yeah, it essentially you're preventing that customer from placing further orders. Typically, that would be because they have a large outstanding balance that remains unpaid. Maybe after long after the terms for them to have paid. So yeah, it's just some additional control. So it works a little bit differently in Business Hub. So for the front end, it will prevent those customers from placing an order if they're on a hold. It'll give them a warning and let them know your account is on a spending hold. You can't submit an order. In the business hub, because you're the operator, you have a little bit more control. It shows you a warning. It lets you know the customer that you're creating an order for is on a spending hold. So the operator could take the appropriate action, whether that means not raising the order or proceeding with the order if they've come to some terms that they're going to allow them to proceed with that particular order.
And what if, again, the customer doesn't, they're on the website, we have them on net terms, but they owe us a bunch of money and they're breaking those terms. But then they're like, I really need to order. I'm going to pay by credit card. Can they still do that?
Yes, so I think they're allowed to make no, actually, no, they cannot. Yeah, no, that's a good
They
question.
pretty much are just penalized. You're saying your account, I don't care
Right,
how you try to pay.
right.
You can't.
Yeah,
Cool.
you can't place orders. Yep.
Really cool. Okay. And this can also be done at a company level.
Yes.
Cool. Very neat. Um, okay. And last thing, job name. So I think this is pretty cool. When we're in the company, if I want to see a list of the orders, I can now see the job name. That's a new column here. And if I'm a customer, I can see it there too. All right. So again, lots of great improvements to Business Hub. Feedback's been awesome. It's where everybody lives once the software's up and running. So real excited about all these updates. Software's never done. It's a living thing. All right. So we talked about 2 of the 3 sections. So admin, we control all of our settings. Business Hub is where we do all of the actual quoting, managing customers, and production. And then we have websites. Now there's some updates here, but it wasn't the main focus of this new version. So we'll go into a site. First thing, if you come down to administration, tax settings, you can now choose to include taxes in the listing price. This is not very common here in the States, but it is more common in like the UK, for example. So now from site to site, you can control if the price includes taxes or not. Before it was a blanket statement across all websites. Okay, and come into website pages. First, Chris, we can the custom drop-down content can now be shown in mobile. How do we control that?
Yeah, so if you've got your site configured to use custom dropdowns, which you would set under page options, normally you see those as kind of separate pages in the pages tab where you can go in and drop widgets or images, list of links into that custom dropdown. Previous to this update, there was a little bit of disconnect in that your desktop dropdowns were going to show whatever custom content you set here, and then your mobile was always going to display what the system considers the simple dropdown content, and that would either be sub pages added within the pages panel, or for certain system pages like your products page, decorated products page, designs page, it would be a list of categories, right? But if you're going custom, again, you want to choose what content is going to show up there. It might be, you may want to link to another website, right? It could be an image that's been dropped in there that has been set to link somewhere else. And so we now kind of synthesize the custom content that you've set here into simple links that we can display on the mobile dropdowns. And one thing to keep in mind, because what you're doing here is a little bit more dynamic. It's visual because you're working in a larger space. On mobile, some links may not translate, so you may not want to include certain links. So if you go into the widget settings for any widget that you've placed into a drop-down menu, under the Design tab, you'll see the option Show as Links in Mobile Menu. And that's what determines whether that content is going to show up on the mobile drop-down or not.
Cool, cool. So again, if I wanted to use this as a drop down and I'm using the product category widget, obviously it's just more visual. But then, like you said, if we got to mobile pre-update, you wouldn't see any of these links unless I had the sub pages or it was a system page. So now I can say, okay, I want these. Obviously, we have links in here. Now they're going to be just text links on mobile. Pretty cool new feature.
Yeah.
Okay, back here in pages, down here we have our system pages. Within other, we have a new page not found page. And okay, so this is your 404 error page. Chris, go ahead and tell us a little bit about this.
Yeah, so this has been a long time request for the ability to personalize the 404 error page. Obviously, this is going to allow our licensees to set up that page to have their own branding rather than it just being a generic error page that is shared across all DecoNetwork sites. You can now, put your own spin on it. You could be pretty creative with it, add a link to go to another page. Let's say we couldn't find the page that you were looking for, but click here to browse our products or click here to see our services, right? So you can include some call to action there and make it a little bit more dynamic now.
Very cool. So it's just, you can edit it just like any other page.
That's right.
And also in this system page section, we have our search results. And if you click on the actual results, you have more capabilities as far as controlling the design and look of it pre-update. So pretty cool there. You could control, and again, like I've got the search option here, customer searches, they're taken to the search results page. You want it to look pretty. You have more control. Oh, design. New section here, header layout. So before, your theme would be the only way you could control the layout of the header. And what I mean by that is where's the navigation, where's the logo, and then where are is the extra information like the search, the phone number, the account, and cart. Well, now you can come in here to design, header layout, and you can change the layout without having to change the theme. Pretty cool new update there. But just keep in mind, if you change the header layout here, there's a good chance you may have to come into the style editor and maybe change the navigation background or text color to make sure that you don't have any of those white on white situations. And then you're raising a support ticket with Cris saying, my navigation's gone. No, it's there. It's just white on white. We've all been there. All right, widgets. So come to widgets. Two cool little updates here. One, video. So if we add video, we can now add a YouTube Shorts URL. So becoming more and more popular. It's a very short video. So you can now display them, and you can also change the aspect ratio to a 9:16 to get that vertical look. So if you ever want to do that, you now can. You really couldn't before. And then also here in widgets, if we come down to the form, we drop this in here, pre-update. You could not allow the customer to upload a file. Now you can. Very cool. Now, Chris, is this just an image or is this a file?
It could be any file. So yeah, any file. Obviously, it's going to be useful for collecting things like maybe artwork if you're requesting things like that. Perhaps tax documents or tax exempt documents. Any type of information that you might want to collect from the customer, you could collect through that file attachment. One of the issues, one of the roadblocks that we had to kind of implementing this was, obviously for email, some email services have certain file attachment limits. And so the way we've implemented is we're hosting those files that are uploaded, and we in the email provide you a link to download that document. So we're hosting them. There is a time limit. I think it's 30 days. So you have 30 days to download those file attachments and then store them locally.
Because when a customer fills out this form, it's emailing the store owner, and it'll
That's
be
right.
attached in that email, correct?
That's right.
Okay, really cool. But you're saying I could upload a CSV file, for example.
Yeah.
Cool. It's not just images, it's pretty much every file. All right. Well, Chris, that's essentially, the list that we put together. There's a lot of different additional updates that are truly awesome. We just don't have time to go into them. But version 8.607, really powerful, great new features, capabilities. The developers are already working on the next version. So everybody knows in the last 3 or 4 months, we added 3 more developers on the DecoNetwork team. So again, we're striving to just enhance the software. The catalog team's expanded, the client services team. Now we have a design team for just templates. Um, so it's a great time to be on the software. It's always been, and we're just really excited about the future. And gosh, I can already tell you that version 8.608 will make a lot of people happy too. Pretty cool stuff in the works. Cris, anything else to add?
I would just say, check out the release notes. Like Zach mentioned, we
Oh,
didn't have time to cover all of those changes, but you'll see a more complete list over on our help center, help.deconetwork.com, and you can kind of run through and see maybe some of the ones that we didn't have time to cover today.
yep, they're all there, and they are very detailed, very easy to understand, and gosh, the list just keeps growing. I mean, in the past 2 days, Lee's added a couple more. So um, hopefully, again, this video was helpful. Thanks for watching, and yeah, good luck using DecoNetwork, and we'll catch you next time.
Take care, Zach.
Thanks, Cris.